even if you believe 9/11 was an outside job, let's say 19 Arabs from a cave were able to have NORAD stand down. They did have magic passports, not one but two, that came out of their clothing through the fireball, through the building, and were then found on the ground within a day by the FBI in all of that bedlam. If you believe that, or you believe that cell phones were working at above 30,000 feet when every time I've flown, have snuck and had my wife on the phone or had friends on the phone, and I've never gotten a phone to work above 5,000 feet. Let's say magically the hijackers not using airphones, or the passengers not using airphones, or the flight attendants not using airphones, that they did work at 15, 20, 25,000, 30,000, 36,000 feet. If you believe that, great. Let's just say that's real. Magically, the laws of physics were suspended that day. Building 7 fell in its own footprint magically from small fires. Forget the CNN footage of police saying, get back. They're going to bring down Building 7. That building's about to blow up. And there was a 10-second countdown. And it was announced on the news they were going to blow it up. I heard it. I've seen it. We've got the newscast. We've played them. They're going to bring down Building 7. New Yorkers all heard it as well. Let's just forget all of that. Let's just say it's real. Okay? Bin Laden wasn't a CIA asset, even though on record he was. And let's just go along and say it was real for the sake of argument today. Okay? Passports came out, were found, not damaged, one of them, the other slightly damaged. It's real. Okay? Cell phones working at 30-something thousand feet, real. All real, all true, nobody's lying to us. Forget all the scripting that day within 15 minutes saying Bin Laden did it and saying we got to go into Iraq and all the rest of it. Let's just forget all of that. Forget all the scripting that was evidence of the inside job. Forget it. For the sake of argument, let's just say Bin Laden did it. No one can argue and no one can debate that the tragic events, the horrific events of 9/11 have been used to take our liberties and our freedoms and have been used for the military-industrial complex, which are offshore corporations that could care less about America, have used it to put in now in the last 9 years, $1 trillion or more, it's hundreds of billions a year, giant infrastructure of control where they profit from surveilling us and violating our rights. And no one can deny that per state, per year, the Patriot Act on record, it was just in the news again last week, is used in non-terror related cases, marijuana plants, domestic violence, fist fights, embezzlement. They're suspending the Constitution. They're suspending due process in thousands of cases per state every year using the federal statute. No one can deny they've gone from saying, oh, just 5 years ago, we're not listening to you without warrants. We promise that we're not listening to you without warrants. We promise. Remember Bush and those press conferences? And then it turned out they were listening to basically everything in real time without warrants, and it's non-terror related. No one can deny that we're losing our freedoms. No one can deny that they're training us to have our genitals grabbed on the outside and the inside of our pants and to be put in microwave ovens, and the TSA and the federal government and Homeland Security have been caught lying about the radiation level. No one can deny it. And so, let's just say 9/11 was an outside job run by people out of Afghanistan. It's not true. The facts show that it's the opposite, but let's just, for the sake of debate, say that. Okay, what does giving up my freedoms and my liberties do to protect me from that? It doesn't. I mean, Janet Napolitano was in the news last week saying that it's illogical. It does not make logical sense, was the quote, to profile Muslim men. Now, 100% of the supposed terror attacks, other than Oklahoma City, you know, the big international and national attacks they hype, 100% are supposedly Muslims. So it makes no logical sense to profile them. See, it's asinine, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we had congressmen on at the time. We had sheriffs on. We had state reps on at the time, going back 5 years ago, 6 years ago, saying they're not building a fence. They put giant game migration points through them that are 5 feet tall, where people are allowed to walk through. The Border Patrol is ordered to not stop illegals except for when news crews are there as part of stunts. Now all of that has been officially admitted. And you find out Obama, for 2 years, has been shipping tens of thousands of guns, knowingly allowing them to be shipped into Mexico so they can then try to trace them back to then blame the Second Amendment. I mean, it's just, it's a joke. Our liberties are not being taken to protect us. As Benjamin Franklin said, if you give up your liberty, to paraphrase him, you don't deserve liberty or security, and you're not going to get either. When you give up liberty, you don't get security. And that's just common sense. I mean, who protects us from the big monolithic mega corporations that control our federal government and can get away with bloody murder? I mean, it's really that simple. And then you get the law enforcement manuals, you get the training manuals. I talked to countless detectives and intelligence unit police, and I see them quoted in the news as well. And they'll admit, over 9 out of 10 times, their training seminars are about gun owners, libertarians, people that want to be left alone, people that are growing their own crops. Ooh, these are dirty people. Ooh, they don't like the Federal Reserve. They don't like the New World Order. They want out of the UN. Well, I'm an American. I'm allowed to want to have a garden. I'm allowed to think fluoride's bad. I have the proof. I'm allowed to not like the private Federal Reserve we didn't have till 1913. I'm allowed to not like the IRS that we didn't have till 1913. I'm allowed to not like the fact that our senators are popularly elected instead of being elected by the state legislatures. I'm allowed to be informed and know that the 10th Amendment and states' rights are the secret to getting this country back. I'm not bad because I know what America's all about. And so while you're being told, give up your rights to fight al-Qaeda, when you actually get into the real training, it's all about you. And that's the paradox here. The average hardcore conservative is a good person, even if they're misinformed on many subjects of the war on terror. And while they're supporting these attacks on liberty to protect America, they don't know behind the scenes it's all about them. They're supporting...